Welcome to the Westminster Effects Doxology podcast, where we exist for the glory of God and the tone of his people. I'm Cody Fields. Go buy stuff for your guitar at westminstereffects.com, and you know the drill at this point. Like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. This is take 2 at the Fight, Laugh, Feast conference, and I am joined by my new friend Mike.
DiVirgilios, since I don't think I got that out to you.
Yeah, and I wouldn't have been able to pronounce that anyway. But Mike,
most people don't.
Also known as the Based Boomer on Eschatology Matters.
What can I say?
We got to get Brandon in here soon, but he said he needs a beer before he can record. Which, hey, I'm not opposed.
Brandon is the entrepreneur
the
who
guy.
started
Yeah.
Eschatology Matters.
Yeah. So, Mike, as the Based Boomer, you've had an interesting journey into postmillennialism, and I've mentioned postmillennialism in my cage stage enough that my Facebook group has created a drinking game for how often I mention it.
Do they get drunk?
Multiple people have ended up in the hospital. But this seems to be a recurring theme with more and more people I meet. Maybe it's just, small sample size. Maybe it's just confirmation bias or whatever. But I think you said you got saved in 1978. Was that
78,
right?
when born again.
And so walk us through how all that worked out.
Well, DiVirgilio is an Italian name in case it wasn't obvious.
Yeah.
And grew up nominal Catholic, and we went to Mass every Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
And that, I thank God for Catholicism, because it gave me a Christian worldview, really, versus the secularism that was everywhere, and a respect for the Bible. So when I went away to college, I moved next door to some Jesus freaks, and that was a term for them.
Right.
And I'm a full-on Jesus.
Like the actual Jesus people of the 70s.
The Jesus Revolution movie,
Yeah.
I don't know if you saw that. It's very good. So became a born-again Christian, and it's a fascinating story, because there's if you don't know of a poem called The Hound of Heaven.
I'm not familiar, no.
Look it up. It's just tremendous, because I'm, as you are, Reformed in my theological perspective. And God does this with all Christians, is he's after us. He's after. Matthew 1:21 is my favorite Calvinistic verse, because it says that Jesus was given his name to save his people from their sins.
Right.
That was the reason he was given his name. Save. He didn't come to try to save. He came to save.
Actually do the thing.
Yeah, to make it actual, not possible. So he was hounding me from when I was, well, even younger than that, but 12, 13, and things happened, and then boom, when it was presented with me, I just bought it.
Yeah.
Full on.
Yeah.
And the journey since then has been, when I got out of college, so I went to college from 78 to 82. And when I left college, I was involved in this campus ministry, and the guy who was the head of it sat me down, and he said, God gave me this verse for you, Psalm 48:14, I think it is, that this God will be your God, will be your guide. This God is our God, and he will be our guide even to the end. And, it's amazing.
Yeah.
Our sanctification and the way God guides and directs our lives. And I have now 47 years looking back. It just blows your mind. His faithfulness,
Right.
My faithlessness, and it just, in the blessing, and the boundary lines have fallen for me in pleasant places. Surely I have a delightful inheritance. It's David in Psalm 16. It just makes me want to cry.
Yeah.
It's just, and each Christian can see that in their own lives.
Yeah.
So it's.
So how did you? So when you actually got saved, did you immediately become Reformed, or was it more of the Jesus people thing for a while?
Kind of a fundamentalist, typical.
Okay. Yeah.
At the time, evangelical. At the time, fundamentalist. It was me and the Bible.
Yeah. Yep.
So it was. So you appreciate theology, obviously.
Yep.
So it was ahistorical, atheological, and anti-intellectual. And it was just me and the Bible. And Jesus was that's how you had your relationship. And I love to read, and so I got into Francis Schaeffer. You're familiar with Schaeffer?
Yep.
And opened my eyes to a Christian worldview, and it was just like, and I read a lot, and the people in the ministry were getting a little concerned about me because I was reading all these other books, you know.
Yep.
And then that journey, God did it just amazing. It's insane.
Because it's not like, well, for one, the Bible is not anti-reading other books. All you're doing is mining great minds for what they have been digging into with the Bible themselves,
Exactly.
and comparing it to life, history, and whatever.
And Scripture, whatever, right?
Yeah.
Romans 1 is that God's creation reveals Him.
Right.
And part of that is other people's minds and thoughts and ideas and how that comports with Scripture.
Yep.
So when I was 24, I met a guy, and this through a bizarre series of circumstances, introduced me to Calvinism. 5 points, it was like, boom.
Just immediately.
Made sense.
Wow.
Yeah, because it was literally upside down from what I believed.
Right.
So he says, you are, the way you got to look at it is you're at the bottom of the pool. You're dead in your sins. You
Yep.
can't believe. You can't do anything. You're not at the top of the pool going, save me, save me.
Yep.
That was my Arminianism.
Yep.
And then I go home, I think that night, and I opened up Ephesians, and I'm going,
Oh, there it is.
how did I miss it? And then it's everywhere in the Bible,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
So that was beautiful. And I know you said you're Reformed Baptist. So I was a Catholic, so I was way anti-infant baptism. I mean, I was like,
Sure.
I became virulently anti-Catholic in my cage stage.
Yep.
I just like, they didn't tell me I could be saved. So I went to a Reformed Baptist church one morning, and they had a baby dedication that morning. And I don't know if this was only not long into my Reformed journey, and I said, they're treating their children as strangers to the covenant. And it ticked me off, and I instantly became Paedo-Baptist.
Oh, wow.
Now, so that's a whole
Yeah,
lot, but
it's interesting. Like our church is kind of, I don't want to
both?
call it a hybrid approach. We are Baptist. We're not going to baptize babies, but we also don't want to treat them as strangers, right? We don't want to just treat them as vipers and
So in my
vipers.
mind, I love that because
Right.
that means this is not a slam. You're
No, I'm okay with it.
inconsistent with your theology. That's just personally how
Right.
my bias.
Yeah, sure.
And I don't care, but it's just a glorious thing to know your children are part of God's covenant faithfulness through all generations. And if Baptists are going to come and say, we're going to inculcate this, then that's
Right.
it just doesn't matter to me. It's just beautiful. But for me, that was really a big change. And so anyway.
No, that's awesome. So you effectively had this journey from nominal Catholic to fundamentalism to,
Yes.
all right, now we're Reformed. And then
Well,
Brandon, go ahead.
So this guy who became my mentor, a week or two in, he says, you like to read? I love to read.
Yeah.
He goes, yeah, well, what you should do is go to seminary, work on, work out your theology and what you believe, and then maybe go get a PhD and teach and get a
Oh,
Juris
wow.
Doctorate or something. And I said, okay, I'll do that in a week. And I was 24. I didn't know what I was going to do with my
Right.
life, So there was a Westminster Seminary down in Philly. I'm sorry, that gets ahead of the story. Down in San Diego, Escondido, where the
Yep.
Horton teacher and all that.
Yep.
So I was going to go there. We visited him. Then he moved to D.C., said I could go to Westminster, Philly. So I said, what the heck? I'll go there for a couple of years. I'm from Southern California, by the way. And then I'll go back home to L.A. because that's... So I went there. My wife-to-be was there. Fell in love. That's a great story.
There we go.
Yeah, got married. And I was never going to be a pastor, but I was going to go the academic route. But it was so, as we say today, woke then. Not nearly as bad, but I was like, I don't want to do that. And then just got with life. We had 3 kids and built businesses, and it's just been glorious. And then the next stage was the eschatology that we talked about.
Yeah. Yeah. So how did all that work out? Like, you're post-mill now, and that's what kind of you're known for with Brandon and Eschatology Matters.
Eschatology Matters, yeah.
And I mean, it's just more fun. But anyway, your journey into postmillennialism.
Fascinating. Because in 78, the late great planet Earth, Hal Lindsey was everywhere. I mean,
Everywhere,
as Christians today, you can't even fathom. It was ubiquitous.
Was it even more popular percentage-wise or proportion-wise as Left Behind, or
Well, so it Left Behind was, to me, looking back, the last gasp, and Left Behind was huge. There's just no way to get around that.
Right.
But that built on what Hal Lindsey had done.
right.
But there was a lot of dispensational fatigue.
Yep.
Predictions. So by the time I went to seminary, I was 26, and I know I learned about the different versions. So I became pan mill.
Yeah.
It's going to all pan out in the end.
Yeah.
I was so influenced by dispensationalism because it was, I thought eschatology is speculation. The Bible doesn't really teach about it. So
Interesting.
I'll just leave it up to God.
Yeah. Jesus is going to come back and
At some point, right? Take care of
something
everything.
will happen. Yeah.
I still had dispensational assumptions like 90% of Christians do today. I believe almost everyone is dispensational, even if they couldn't
Quote, unquote,
articulate
yeah.
it.
Yeah.
Right. But, and for me, I wasn't post-millennial because I knew it was a completely discredited eschatology. And you know how much I knew about it?
None.
Zero. No, zero would be overestimating what I knew about it. I mean, I knew. It's astounding how much I didn't know, but it was
Yeah.
discredited. I would never even consider it or look at it. End of story. Then I I have a little black MP3 player because I am old school.
Yeah.
So I download the MP3s. I go on my walks. So one day up on YouTube, a sermon by Doug White came up that said, "My journey to hope for the future." And I was writing a book at the time. I had become optimistic, which is another long story. When I became Amil in 2000. I'm sorry I missed this because this is kind of important.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
became Amil in 2014. Kim Riddlebarger. I heard a series of talks. I go, wow, maybe the Bible does say something about eschatology.
Right.
I was shocked, really. And I go, okay, sounds good to me. And Kim's a great teacher. Bought it. It slowly turned me more pessimistic.
Yep. That's easy to do.
Amil people it's not inherent in it. I kind of think it is, but that's a different argument. So I was set, right? I'm Amil, that's it. Then I hear that sermon. I'm on a walk one Saturday. It's in South Beach, Miami with a buddy of mine. I walk outside, I do my walk. And he was doing it exegetically. He was making the argument. And he was Amil too before. I walk up into his apartment, I go, I think I'm becoming post-mill. He goes, shut up. You're an idiot. That's how we talk. And I go, and then I started listening to some stuff, and I heard Doug Wilson 2 or 3 weeks later, he said, now you have the theological justification for your optimism.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's exactly what I was looking for.
That's fairly similar to my journey into becoming post-mill. Is I kept telling my wife, like, I'm not post-millennial. She's like, yeah, you are. Just admit it.
She wasn't there yet?
Not quite. So we got her there, but she wasn't there yet. She's like, just admit it. Same thing with theonomy. Just admit it.
Yeah.
You are. But I keep seeing this stuff. No, just admit it.
It's such a glorious different way to look.
Yeah.
So I wrote this other book called Going Back to Make the Way Forward, Trump, a Great Awakening and a Refounding of America. And my eschatological views had been developing as I was writing the book, because I had,
Sure.
and I published it in mid 24 or whatever. And, at the end of that eschatology actually informed that book, but I didn't really I talked about it at the end of the book, but I'm finishing another book that's kind of building on that, which this conference and what it's about, and reestablishing Christendom and such, and it's such a different way to look at life.
Right.
It's even in the stuff happens, of life. God is doing and working, and you see with Charlie Kirk and Trump and all this stuff. It's beautiful.
It's one of the interesting things is, like, a lot of critics of postmillennialism basically base their arguments on, well, why isn't the progress like a line graph going straight up, right? Like 45-degree angle, 1-to-1 all the time. And even with the Charlie Kirk stuff, like the funeral had a lot of great stuff. There's also some wonky stuff, right? Because this is, we're dealing with people, and it's going to be messy.
Or, yeah, hello.
It's beautiful. Yes, it's glorious. And we're also dealing with people, and people are stupid.
Read the Bible. God uses sinners
Yeah.
through the whole thing.
That's, other than Jesus, that's the only kind of people God has to work with.
He's stuck with us. I love to say that because it's like true. Like, what is he going to do? Just abracadabra? He doesn't do that.
Right. But that's the way that he planned to do it. That's how he gets the glory, right? You work through fallen sinners. That means I can't get any.
No.
That means I don't get the glory. So other than seeing this, seeing life as a more beautiful, unified whole, how else has it affected how you go? I mean, even like daily routines, like how does it affected that?
Because I know that everything I'm doing is, and that means everything.
Right.
Even tilling, picking weeds in the garden. I'm advancing God's kingdom, extending Christ's reign,
Yep.
and building his church. So as I make a living, I'm serving others. I'm bringing, even on the trip here, I'm smiling at people. I'm affirming them. I'm bringing, like Toby said, light.
Yep.
And what happens when light comes in? The darkness flees.
Yep. I've never flipped a light switch and then had the darkness say, I think I'm going to hang out.
Darkness can't win.
Yeah.
Lies can't win. That's why we know the left would always, in my previous book, I always knew that an empire built on lies could not stand.
Right. Stupidity is not a viable long-term strategy.
In fact, it reveals itself, which is why what is happening because secularism and the Enlightenment after 400 years have proven poverty-stricken.
Oh, yeah.
People are, especially Gen Z,
Yep.
especially young men, are looking for more. They're looking for something that works,
Yep.
And it's the gospel. It's God. It's Christ. It's the Bible.
And I've had this conversation so many times this weekend already, but we keep seeing that at our church. Our church, since we've gotten more explicitly reformed, we're not explicitly post-mill yet. I'm working on a couple of people there.
That's great.
But the more explicitly reformed, and we're gonna just teach out of the Bible, and then that does lead to optimism. However you define that, however you label that. Bradley, I'm talking to you. But that's my pastor. But the more you do that, the more people are energized to actually do stuff. And our church in the last 5 years has gotten younger because people are coming out of our local megachurch starving and sitting and telling us we're starving, we need to eat. And we've gotten younger with young families who need a foundation for how to raise their kids. And I do joke, back to the Baptist Presbyterian thing, I do joke all the time. We're like 3 babies away from just becoming Presbyterian by default because there's so many of them running around. And but it's a really glorious thing to see is people have real purpose and they're not just waiting for a helicopter ride out.
See, that's the thing. My first book was called The Persuasive Christian Parent because in 2015, when I started writing it, there was this thing called the nuns, none of the above.
Yep.
And there were kids fleeing the faith, right?
Yep.
And it was like, why would my children want to flee to secularism that offers them nothing?
Nothing. Absolutely nothing.
And that took a while, but we're at a point, a turning point, to coin a phrase.
I got to get this out. What secularism offers them is solo vacations to Disney World at 35.
Could you explain a nightmare any better?
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah.
So but that's why I've seen this as opportunity, even in the middle of COVID and Biden and peak woke. People are waking up. The red pill's happening, and I mean, this is a great awakening, and it blows my mind what God has done because I was hoping and praying for this. I write a book about it saying this is going to happen, and it's happening. And and every morning I pray for revival, which isn't enough.
Right.
We need revival, renewal, restoration, and reformation.
Yes, exactly.
And God is doing it.
Yeah.
God is doing it, Cody. I mean,
And using stupid sinners like us.
chief among them.
Yeah. He's using dumb guitar pedal brands and
The whole
boomers who
musician
just
music
figured it
thing.
out.
Yeah, that's great. That is really awesome.
Yeah. So where can people find you?
Well, I have a blog website, which is just my name, MikeDiVirgilio.com. And don't worry about how to spell it. I guess you can put it in the internet.
It'll figure it out. Yeah.
Yeah. Put AI, it'll figure that out.
Yeah.
And then Brandon invited me last year to be part of the Eschatology Matters podcast. And by the way, I just want to put this on the record. I did not give myself the based boomer moniker because
Brandon's right there, so we can.
I understand there is no based boomers because that's a contradiction in terms, a pure oxymoron.
Or is it? Or is it?
But he gave me that, invited me to be part of the team, and that's been incredible. That's helped me to reach more people, and they're just a great group of guys, and it's good stuff. So
Yeah, fantastic. Well, thanks for coming on.
thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah,
Cody.
thank you.
Great to meet you.
And to all of you, go love God, love your neighbor, make some music. We'll see you next time.